worth around 5 million US dollars. He proudly flaunted his prized fleet on Instagram, which included 2 Rolls Royces, 3 Bentleys, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, more than 3 Range Rovers, 2 Mercedes-Benz, and a BMW. But it didn't stop at the cars. Ginimbi also owned a stunning mansion in Nyamani.
What it do, your boy Ice Extra. So we'll be watching. I don't know if you know Ginimbi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. But last time I checked, the last number more. Oh, push your business. I happened to the light. Step on the lights. There's always a problem either way. So let's start the video.
I've come to a stage that I don't care anymore. The people that talk about maybe your English, I always want to respond to them by saying English does not measure how intelligent you are.
Very true.
English is just a language. Is it?
2020 was a crazy year, for obvious reasons. The pandemic turned the world upside down, and a lot of people tragically lost their lives globally. But in Zimbabwe, there was one death that completely shook the nation. Genius Kadungure, better known as Ginimbi, died in a horrific car crash on the 8th of November that year, and it sparked a full-on media circus. It wasn't just the way that he died that had people talking. It was all the superstition and wild theories around his death that really got people talking.
If you didn't know,
Ginimbi was one of those people who came from humble beginnings and ended up living like a literal king. He had cars most could only dream of, designer clothes, and his all-exclusive, all-white parties were always the talk of the town. The man was larger than life. But in some African societies, when someone becomes that rich, that young, and is that flashy, people kinda get suspicious. When Ginimbi died, everyone and their grandma had something to say. Was it karma? Was it juju? Was it just a tragic accident? The truth? Well, that depends on who you ask. Ginimbi was born on the 10th of October in 1984 to parents Anderson and Juliana Kadungure. Of his 3 siblings, Genius was the most mischievous. Before attending Parirewa Secondary School in Domboshava to study for his O-levels, Ginimbi attended Shogogudza Primary School. Unfortunately, Genius was not really a genius in school. He concluded his O-level exams with 1 pass in agriculture. According to his sister, their mother wanted him to sit for the exams again, but he asked for the money instead, arguing that if he wrote the exams again, he would only fail a second time. His mother would go on to agree, and he would use the money to start a cell phone business, sparking the rise of his empire. On the other hand, Anderson Kadungure, Ginimbi's father, who did not get along with him, claimed he had no idea where his son's wealth originated from. But whatever the story is, it seems Ginimbi bet on himself and it paid off. Ginimbi secured his first contract through a friend who worked for Angolan Airways, finding his niche by supplying gas to domestic households around the country. He later managed to open his company, Pioneer Gases, under Pico Trading Group, providing gas for industrial, domestic, retail, and commercial use. In Botswana, he owned Quick Gases and Matiflex, the former of which supplied liquid petroleum gas. He also owned City Center Freight and Rivonia Gases. Although his
Guys,
most
watch
well-known
and learn.
venture was in the gas sector, he also ventured into the entertainment industry by opening Dreams, a nightclub, which was formerly known as Club Sankai. While doing research for this video, I saw one article that speculated his wealth to be between 10 million to 100 million US dollars, which is another way of saying we don't really know. And I realized quickly that a lot of speculation surrounded Ginimbi. For one, it seems he was notoriously terrible at clearing up said speculation, chalking it up to hate or jealousy.
Why do you think you are so attacked for success?
People that attack him are the people that have got no knowledge of how I accumulated my wealth, right? They just assume them. They don't talk to me. If they talk to me, I should be able, to give them even tips of how to make money. What pains me, I'm a citizenship of Zimbabwe.
Chat.
I live in Botswana. I've never been attacked. I live in South Africa. I've never been attacked in South Africa. I get attacked in my own country. I don't have peace in Zimbabwe.
On the other hand, Ginimbi disclosed the depths of his lavish lifestyle on social media. But it seems his actual business dealings were not public record. And like any other self-respecting African businessman, Ginimbi was not immune to the fraud allegations. In 2011, Ginimbi, using the name of a fake company called Transco Civil Engineering in South Africa, allegedly scammed 2 businessmen out of nearly 1.6 million rands. He claimed he was sourcing mining pumps for Marange Resources and convinced one of the men to deposit money into a fake Absa bank account. But when the man returned to Zimbabwe, all he received from DHL was a parcel filled with cell phone charges. No mining pumps, no refund, just straight up fraud. 2 years later, Ginimbi was arrested on fraud charges related to that same mining pump scam. This time, the victims included a ZANU-PF MP and a Kadoma-based miner. He was accused of setting up the whole thing with fake identities and bank accounts. This became the first of many legal red flags that would be tied to his name. In 2018, Ginimbi clapped back at South African businessman Mutungo Mawere, who claimed he was owed 340,000 rands. The two exchanged jabs on Twitter. Ginimbi said he had already paid the debt and even threw shade by saying some of that money may have helped Mawere pay off his legal fees. It was messy, public, and added more questions about Ginimbi's financial dealings. In July 2020, things came to a head when Zimbabwe's tax authority, ZIMRA, revealed that Ginimbi's company, Pico Trading, had generated nearly $9 million in sales between 2009 and 2016, but had only reported 2.7 million. Where was the other 6.3? As a result, Ginimbi was found to owe 3.5 million in taxes. He was fined $36,000 and ordered to pay 2.5 million to ZIMRA. On top of that, Pico Trading Group's headquarters in Southerton, Harare, was described as barely operational. It had minimal staff and showed no real signs of business activity, just a shell, yet somehow it was supposedly bringing in millions. For context, this was the headquarters of Pico Trading Group, the heart of Ginimbi's entire business empire. Do with that information what you will. In late 2020, Ginimbi was arrested again and denied bail by a Harare magistrate for his role in the tax evasion case. He wasn't asked to plead. His lawyer, Jonathan Samkange, argued that Ginimbi was being targeted because of his political connections. He was reportedly related to Mary Chiwenga, the wife of Zimbabwe's vice president. This has nothing to do with the allegations, but at one point, I remember it being circulated online that Ginimbi had bought more than 1,000 boxes of chicken-in takeaways for inmates following one of his many stints in jail as a gesture after his release. Well, it turns out it was a false rumor, and the images taken were actually orders for a music festival. But boy, did everyone believe it at the time. Such was the enigma that was Genius Kalungure.
Why do you do all-white party?
It's a way of celebrating my life.
I just mira.
No, it's not beer. I'll give you a reload with the expensive champagne, man. I'll give you a beer with expensive champagne. Do with expensive whisks and champagne.
Now, let's talk about the extravagance and the infamous all-white parties. The party started modestly in Harare, but quickly escalated into legendary invitation-only extravaganzas, featuring top-tier guests from across Africa. By 2020, Ginimbi had hosted about 17 consecutive annual all-white birthday parties, which were often held at his mansion in Domboshava or venues like Harare's HICC. Entry for the VVIP section ranged from $1,000 to $2,000, granting access to 4 people to unlimited alcohol and private wait staff, a hood that no doubt attracted Zimbabwe's elite. Notable attendees included local celebrities like Pokelo Nare and Bona Chukore. International and regional stars like Japreza, Killer T, Enzo Aishal, and Big Naz also performed. Champagne was sprayed in what Ginimbi liked to call shampopo showers, a literal rain of luxury. The parties were wild and lavish. There was an all-white, minimal dress code. In 2019, Ginimbi was exporting the concept internationally, touring Australia, hosting parties in Botswana, South Africa, and even Dubai. The final party was held in October 2020 at his Domboshava home, even as COVID-19 restrictions loomed. Ginimbi was well known for his jaw-dropping collection of luxury cars, reportedly worth around $5 million.
The cars.
He proudly flaunted his prized fleet on Instagram, which included 2 Rolls Royces, 3 Bentleys, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, more than 3 Range Rovers, 2 Mercedes-Benz, and a BMW. But it didn't stop at the cars. Ginimbi also owned a stunning mansion in Nyamanda village, Domboshava, nestled on 4 acres of land, equivalent to about 54 standard high-density residential stands. The house was basically a reflection of Ginimbi himself, luxurious, bold, and impossible to ignore. The massive 2-story mansion featured 6 en-suite bedrooms, a grand reception area, a private gym, a 14-seat cinema, a swimming pool, a basketball/tennis court, and of course, no Ginimbi mansion would be complete without a statement piece, a Versace branded glass door at the entrance. Naturally. Today, the mansion is valued at $12 million and is one of Zimbabwe's most expensive homes. Suffice to say, Ginimbi lived a life of immense luxury and comfort, filled with private jets, expensive cars, and beautiful women. He had everything going for him until it was all prematurely cut short on the 8th of November 2020, a day before he supposedly wanted to finalize his will, having had premonitions of his death. And as it turns out, he was not the only one who had sensed his demise.
But each time it seems like I sink different, and I'm scared, terrified that one day I won't make it back up. It feels like I'm gasping for air, screaming for help. But everyone just looks at me with confused faces.
After a night of partying, Ginimbi got into his Rolls Royce around 5 a.m. He was accompanied by Michelle Amuli, better known as Moana, a Zimbabwean fitness trainer, video vixen and influencer, along with Limumba Karim, a Malawian entrepreneur and socialite, and Alicia Francis Adams, who was part of Ginimbi's inner circle. The four of them had been celebrating Moana's 26th birthday at Dreams nightclub and were on their way back to Domboshava. According to Lucky Chikwanda, a Honda Fit driver who was traveling from Heathcliff, Ginimbi's car was attempting to overtake two vehicles at the same time while going at breakneck speed, reportedly 260 kilometers per hour. Chikwanda said Ginimbi's car crossed into his lane, forcing a head-on impact. Chikwanda's car spun, while the Rolls Royce veered off and smashed into a tree roughly 20 to 30 meters from the collision point. After the crash, an eyewitness saw Ginimbi shaking and gasping, desperately trying to open the doors before the car exploded. He was pulled out but was alive only for a moment. Moana, Karim and Alicia were unfortunately trapped inside the car and were burned beyond recognition. Later, it would take hours for the fire brigade to recover their remains. Like Chikwanda, whose injuries included severe trauma to his hand, waist, legs, survived but remains traumatized, often saying he feels like a ghost. And just like that, the larger-than-life Ginimbi, along with 3 other lives, were taken way too soon. What happened next can only be described as a tabloid-feeding frenzy, the kind that feeds on shock, spectacle, and superstition. From the moment news of the crash broke, every tabloid, blog, and Facebook Live went into overdrive. Some were broadcasting unverified claims before the police even confirmed the identities of the victims. Pictures of the crash site were shared without a second thought. The whole thing was morbid and sensational, but no one could look away. Some headlines claimed Ginimbi had predicted his own death. Others said it was a blood ritual gone wrong. His past, his wealth, the parties, suddenly every part of his life was under a microscope. The media didn't just report his death, they dissected it, glamorized it, and at times exploited it. And as usual, the line between news and gossip blurred until it no longer existed. For days, it felt like Ginimbi was the only thing people were talking about, online and in real life. His fans were devastated. Some posted old pictures they had taken with him. Others wrote heartfelt messages about how he inspired them. But of course, not everyone was mourning. There were those who used the moment to visit old grudges or push conspiracy theories. Some even went as far as saying he got what was coming to him, while others speculated wildly about Moana and the other passengers, spinning tales that ranged from spiritual warnings to secret cults. In a society where fame is often met with suspicion, Ginimbi's death cracked open every kind of narrative you could imagine. And just like in life, in death he remained polarizing. A procession of luxury cars escorted his body back to his Domboshawa mansion, his dream house, as he once called it. On the way, the vintage Mercedes Pilanto hearse, a custom vehicle estimated to have cost $500,000, stopped at his Dreams nightclub so fans could honor him. The casket was a custom Versace coffin with a hand-painted Medusa logo. Imported from South Africa at a cost of $5,000 to $12,000, which was paid for by contributions from his elite circle. Mourners arrived in designer outfits and all-white ensembles, turning the service into something that looked more like a high-profile fashion show than a typical funeral. By late Friday evening, his Domboshawa mansion was host to the final all-white party. There were multiple performances from local stars. At dawn on Saturday, a Salvation Army service was held, leading into the burial where his body was lowered in front of the mansion just as he had requested. After the burial ceremony, relatives danced to Tekno's music, mimicking Ginimbi's signature moves. Some mourners showered the ceremony in money, validating his flamboyance even in grief. There were moments of genuine grief, of course, but they were mixed with spectacle. At one point, his friends popped bottles in his honor, saying it was what he would have wanted. Cameras were everywhere. Some people were live streaming, others snapping selfies. It was a send-off fit for a celebrity, but also a reminder of how what is supposed to be private grief can blur into public performance. In the wake of all the media coverage, what remained was one glaring question. What did Ginimbi really leave behind? Materially, he left a small empire of flashy assets. A mansion in Domboshawa that looked like something out of a rap video, a fleet of luxury cars, and a string of nightclubs and gas businesses under the name Pico Trading. But the truth is a bit murky. His estate became the subject of legal back and forth, and many of his business dealings were either undocumented or deeply entangled in debt and unpaid taxes. After Ginimbi's death, attempts by journalists to contact the telephone numbers listed under his various businesses proved futile, and no formal statement was made by Pico Trading Group regarding the CEO's death. Reports surfaced that he hadn't written a will, leaving his family in limbo. Friends claimed they'd carry on the tradition of the all-white parties on his birthday, but his family objected, insisting no event should proceed without their approval. As for his brand, the name Ginimbi, it lives on. He was a symbol of hustle, a poster child for Zimbabwean flash culture. To some, he was an inspiration, the kid from Domboshawa who made it big. To others, he was a cautionary tale, a reminder to be content with what you already have. Either way, Ginimbi didn't just leave behind money and cars. He left behind questions and a legacy wrapped in mystery. In the end, maybe that's the real story. Ginimbi was never just a man. He was a moment, a vibe. He lived fast, loud, and he was unapologetic. And whether you loved him or judged him, you could never ignore him. His life was a story that captivated many, and his death was no different. But beneath the designer sunglasses, the champagne showers, and the convoy of supercars, there was a young man who came from nothing and built something unforgettable. Flawed, yes, but undeniably iconic. And maybe that's why we are still talking about him. Because people like Ginimbi don't just die, they become legend.
Guys, I miss you guys. I just came for a few minutes to say hello, 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 hello.